Adolescence is without a doubt one of the most talked about shows at the moment, and for good reason. From the one-shot takes to Owen Cooper's acting to the social commentary on social media, it is making waves. So I am of course going to assume that you have watched this already, but here is a bit of a quick general background to it. So basically it follows a 13-year-old boy called Jamie Miller and his family. I suppose it's more centered around him of course, but it definitely also focuses on his family, in particular his dad called Eddie Miller, who is played by Stephen Graham and also co-wrote the show. So something that is really interesting about this show is that it's not a whodunit. So this is something that Stephen Graham talks about himself in an interview, is that it's not actually trying to find out whether Jamie did it or didn't do it. We kind of establish quite quickly that he did do it, and it's more about why he chose to do it in the first place, and by it I'm talking about the murder of his classmate, another 13-year-old child, a girl called Katie. So there are 4 episodes in total of the show, and for each episode it was all done in one take, which is absolutely crazy. If you go back and watch it, for me at first, I just didn't even realize until really like the second episode, I think at first I was kind of like got to the bit where he was doing like a strip search and they were trying to find out, medical information from him and all this type of stuff, and I was kind of like, why is this taking so long? Like, why haven't they cut yet? And then I realized, I was like, oh my god, this is just one take. This is absolutely crazy. And then as you realize that, you just kind of just see about how wild it is that they've actually been able to do this. So this is an extract from The Independent, and it says, director Philip Barantini has previously explained that the one-shot approach to filming is an intentional device used to demand the attention of time-poor viewers. He used the technique in his 2019 film Boiling Point, although the series posed a bigger challenge than the one-location backdrop of the restaurant in that movie, but beneath the clever directing and the scrupulous technicalities lies something far more terrifying. Really, what it's about is looking at male rage and looking at our own anger and looking at who we are as men, says co-writer Jack Thorne. So this idea of male rage is something that we obviously see through Jamie, but also with his dad Eddie as well. And I think the use of this one take technique and approach really helps with making the tension just so palpable and giving you this immersive experience. You feel like you are always right next to the situation. You feel like you are in the room right next to Jamie as everything is happening. And I think one particular episode where this is really scary and done so well and really just like put me on edge as well is the psychologist episode, and this just made it so much more intense, and I think that this was such a good idea to use. So let's have a little look at some of the themes that were mentioned. So we have familial relationships, social media, the manosphere, and inceldom. So all of these themes are incredibly relevant today, and they're all really wrapped up into one, and also the reason why he did what he did. Jamie kills Katie because of a combination of factors, but some of these are his self-esteem, the perceived bullying, and also his access to the online incel world. Casey then publicly claims that he is an incel by commenting this on some of his Instagram posts, which leads to his rage and embarrassment and to the reason why he did what he did, which was to kill her. Discussion of these topics are so necessary and so needed right now because honestly, we are constantly seeing in the media stuff about Andrew Tate. It is absolutely constant. And so you can see why that this show was actually done, and I think it was way overdue, to be honest, but I'm glad that it was done because it really has served as a wake-up call to allow for more people to get talking about these particular online communities and to bring them out of the shadows, because I think that this is something that happens a lot of the time, is that we know that there's dark corners of the internet, we know that things go on there and that people get dragged into them, but what you don't probably realize is that it's your brother, that it's your son, that it's your nephew, that it's also your niece, and it's your sister, and it's your mom, even it's your dad, it's everyone who is around you, it's your friends, it's your family, who are able to get pulled into these worlds and to have these ideas and this propaganda instilled into you. I think this really highlighted men and the male mind, and also what goes on behind closed doors, and how important it is to intervene in situations like this and to do more, because this is an extreme case, but stabbings and violent crime is on the rise, especially with young people. For example, this is what is happening with hospital admissions for knife assault with young people. There is data from 2022/23 to 23/24 from the ONS, which shows a 9% increase in hospital admissions for knife assaults among children aged 0 to 17. So violent crime is increasing, and with this online propaganda coupled with social media access, which is completely unrestricted and unmonitored, of course these types of circumstances and situations are going to happen and be more frequent. And it was something as simple as Casey's rejection which really set him off in the first place. And it was something that he kind of felt entitled to. He felt that he was entitled to her because of her sexual kind of behavior and the fact that she was perhaps a bit more provocative, or at least that was how he saw her to be, and therefore he should be able to be with her and it's doing her a favor and this type of thing. And the way that he talks about women and girls is really disturbing. The lack of respect that he has for women is seen when he talks about Katie and some of the girls that he knows and women in general, but no more is it seen than when there is the psychologist scene, which I talked about before, with Erin Doxey, that's who plays the psychologist in the whole episode. And it's really horrible. Like, it's a really horrible episode, and this is brilliantly acted by both of them, and the fact that it's just in one take again when you remember that is just crazy. But the way he intimidates her, the way he belittles her and speaks to her and stands over her and kind of threatens her in many ways, it just shows even more how young people are being corrupted in this way, that they are seeing things online that is violent, that is causing this type of behavior, which is evident. I mean, in what we just saw, he was a 13-year-old boy who was like half the size of this adult woman, but he intimidated her so strongly, and so it was so scary as well, because you as a woman kind of put yourself in that situation as well. And though she does actually hold it together the whole time that he is in the room with her, when he does finally go and leaves, she is so shaken and even nauseated by the way that he has been. When Stephen Graham was asked about his inspiration for the show, he did say that this was from real life examples. The fact that he saw so many cases in the news of young boys who were stabbing young girls. I think he saw a couple, and how it really affected him deeply, and this is why he decided that this was such an important show to make. This brings us on to the family relationship, and particularly the father-son relationship between Eddie and also Jamie. And there is this idea that he should have done more as a father, but that they should have done more as a family to interfere and to stop the incident and what happened. There is this scene at the end of the last episode where they all sit down together, well, the mother and the father sit down together and say how, they raised him and therefore they're actually really responsible, and that they should have seen the signs, and that there's more that they could have done and should have done. And I think that this is really important, because this does put more onus on the parents, because there is more that parents probably should be doing in monitoring their children's online use and also their behavior, to make sure that they are able to intervene in situations like this. Even though this is an extreme of what could happen, it's not far from reality. It does happen, and in fact a couple of these cases was the inspiration for this show to be made. So I think that this was so important to have in the final episode, to leave the viewers with this sense that, especially if you are a parent, that more should be done to monitor what your child is doing on social media, and to make sure that there is an open dialogue around the content that they are seeing as well, so they don't feel fearful about coming to you about something that they may have seen, so that you're able to actually talk about it together. So this is an extract from a BBC article from Laura Simpson, who is a digital safety development officer for Guernsey Police, and she said people should not bury their heads in the sand when it came to the online lives of children and what influenced them. Miss Simpson said, "I think my key takeaway from this series was a moment in the last episode when the parents looked at each other and asked, should we have done more? That acknowledgement that they were not involved enough in aspects of their son's life, which has ultimately led to tragedy, should be a wake-up call to everyone who is a parent, carer, or professional who works with kids of any age." So let's have a look at the engagement and activism post-show, because it really has hit home for a lot of people and allowed for that discussion to take place. So Keir Starmer has actually met with the creators of the show and has welcomed a move to allow for the actual show to be shown in schools for free nationwide. Jack Thorne, who also co-wrote the show alongside Stephen Graham, has said that the Prime Minister should rather urgently consider a ban that is similar to that of Australia's, which they have recently passed, and also an age of consent for social media. So what Australia has recently done is that they have made it so it is illegal for under 16s to have social media. Similarly, some stars from the show have also come out and also been in support of a social media ban for the under 16s. Faye Marsay, who plays Detective Misha Frank in the show, has said that she is in support of this too. One thing's for sure, and that is that this show has really ruffled some feathers and got people talking about a really important topic. So I think it's just a case of watching and waiting to see if anything does actually happen in the law towards social media and whether the UK does follow the lead of Australia and ban social media for the under 16s. Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts were on the show Adolescence, what you thought of some of the themes that it discussed, and whether you think that there should be a social media ban in the UK like that of Australia's. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!